Sim racing is the best way to experience motorsports without wrecking your bank account or your car. But you should know this: if your sim racing wheel doesn't come off the base, it's not a racing wheel. If your brake pedal feels like a sponge, you're not driving, you're guessing. And if your sim rig moves more than a real car, you bought furniture, not a cockpit. I've tested a lot of gear: the good, the bad, and just the plain overrated. So before you waste your money on the wrong stuff, here's 5 brutally honest things to know before building your sim rig in 2025. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance you either saw a racing wheel at the store down the street. By the way, don't buy that. Or you've been agonizing over this purchase for a very long time and still don't know what the right choice to make is. Either way, I'm here to save you from your sim racing shopping dilemma and hopefully save you from making some costly mistakes in the process. Let's start with the piece of hardware that gets all the attention. Your racing wheel is one of only two things physically connecting you to your virtual car. And the crazy part? The price difference between a good experience and a bad one is closer than ever. We're talking maybe a few $100, sometimes less. That's like one extra month of scraping change out of the couch cushions. In my opinion, 5 Newton meters is the bare minimum force you should consider. 8 to 10 is a good sweet spot. Anything under 5, though, it starts to feel like an arcade toy more than a sim rig. And trust me when I say that even if the branding says realistic force feedback, without the torque, it's not going to feel real. Speaking of feeling real, it's not uncommon for people to prioritize the wheelbase and wheel over the pedals, but it's a huge mistake. It's not even arguable that your pedals will have a greater impact on your overall lap times and performance than your wheelbase will. Very few entry level bundles start with the Loadcell pedal. That's an additional upgrade you typically need to make, and it's one that you absolutely should prioritize over the power of your wheelbase. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't prioritize getting a decently powered wheelbase, but if the difference is between a 5 Newton meter wheelbase and an 8 Newton meter wheelbase, spend the money on the load cell pedal. The difference between a load cell and your standard hall sensor pedal is night and day. You'll have significantly better control over your vehicle using something that requires pressure over travel distance. You can always stiffen up your gas pedal with different springs and things like that, and your clutch pedal, should you actually use it, it doesn't necessarily demand any kind of pressure behind it. It's going to work regardless. But a good load cell pedal, there's just no substitution for. This is something you have to take serious as you're trying to learn on the track. You're going to really, really appreciate having that pressure sensitivity, being able to build that muscle memory, and know exactly what your brake pressure is based on the experiences you've had previously. This is an upgrade you'll not only appreciate, but other people you're on the track with will appreciate as well because you'll have more control over the car. Now, that's assuming that you have the right rig to attach those pedals to. The best hardware in the world isn't going to do you any good if you don't have a rig built to withstand the force of the wheelbase and if you're chasing your pedals across the carpet. Now, that's not to say that I haven't endorsed a foldable rig in certain circumstances, but you just have to know that there's compromise that comes along with getting a rig like that. And even some sim rigs that should be solid aren't necessarily as solid as you would think, and they don't hold up to the forces of a direct drive wheelbase the way you would hope they would. That's why, if possible, I highly recommend an aluminum profile 8040 rig, but there's other great options out there if that's not necessarily in the right price range for you. Now, you guys probably have noticed at this point that I'm not really giving you specific hardware that I think you should go out and buy. I will list that in the description. Some of them will be affiliate links, some won't, but I don't necessarily have all that hardware here. And also, it would take way too long to go through each individual piece. So I wanted to keep this short, sweet, and just give you guys some things to think about before you start buying hardware. Now let's move on to number 4. While building your sim rig, you might get the idea that a big TV will feel more immersive. In theory, sure. But in practice, it's a bad move. Most TVs aren't designed for fast, precise input. They have higher latency, lower refresh rates, and motion blur. The opposite of what you want when you're flying down a straight. A proper gaming monitor offers higher frame rates and lower input lag. It makes a massive difference in how connected you feel to your car. And let's be real, most GPUs can't push triple 4K TVs anyways. Even triple 1440 can bring many systems to their knees. If you want immersion in performance, go with a triple 32-inch monitor setup or a single high-quality ultra-wide. And always match your display to your GPU's limits. And then, of course, there's VR, which is another highly immersive option. And there's always one exception. You could get a 5090 and 3 OLED TVs, But if that's an option for you, then you might be watching the wrong video. I said what I said. And lastly, if you can push it, pull it, or twist it, it's not a racing seat. The seat is one of the most overlooked pieces of sim racing equipment. People will drop hundreds of dollars on wheels and pedals, then bolt it to a desk and use an office chair that swivels like it's auditioning for The Voice. What you need is a seat that locks you in, no bouncing, rolling, or tilting. You need something that keeps you firmly planted under the pressure of a Loadcell pedal and a high torque wheelbase. Comfort's part of performance. A proper seat keeps you locked in, helps you stay consistent, and makes longer sessions way more enjoyable. Don't treat it like an afterthought. It's a part of the rig, not something you can substitute with a lawn chair. Wheel, pedals, cockpit, monitor, and seat. These are the 5 things that are going to determine whether you have a good sim racing experience or a bad one. If you don't consider these 5 things carefully, you could feel more like you're in an arcade game than an actual proper immersive sim rig. That being said, the most important thing is that you get out on the track and start racing. So if you have to make some compromises, start with one good piece of equipment and then build your way up. I'm not saying that if you can't do it all right now, don't do it at all. Don't take it the wrong way. Sim racing is a great hobby. It's a lot of fun, and you should definitely get into it by whatever means necessary if that's what you're interested in. Don't let the hardware be the thing that keeps you from doing it. I just want to be clear that far too often people take an interest in the hobby, but then lose interest really quickly because they bought the wrong hardware. Now, as I said early on in the video, we're not focused on specific brands. You may have seen some specific brands in the B-roll footage, but that's just because that's the footage I had available right now, not because I'm suggesting that those are what you'd go and buy. You'd be surprised to know that almost none of those are number 1 in the description. So make sure you guys go check it out, read some reviews, do your homework, and make the decision that makes the most sense to you. Until then, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if this video was helpful, hit that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next one.